I'd like to introduce the second session now, which is with two of our volunteer community surveyors from the past and from the original pilot, Shristi Paudel and Jordan Freese, sharing their experiences and their opportunities they see for humanitarian surveyors. Can I get you two to join, please? I can see Shristi's video. Hi, Jordan. Kia ora.
Hello. Kia ora.
I'll hand the floor over to you, Shristi.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. So hello, everyone. Namaste. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. So first of all, I want to thank the VCSP Wisdom Workshop team for letting me present in this topic, which is very close to my heart. I want to share my slide at first. Sorry. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, I want to present in this topic which is very close to my heart. As a past VCS, I have always enjoyed sharing my volunteering experiences with the new faces coming along with us in this global mission. And as you already know, today in this session, we had around half an hour and we are two volunteers, me and Jordan. So he's from New Zealand. And our combination is very special because Jordan was the volunteer in the piloting as well. And he and I volunteered for the same project in the overlapping time. So we have a lot of common experiences, but the main thing is, despite of being in the same project, the volunteering community surveyor program have had a different impact on each of us. And today in this session, we want to show you how two volunteers that were in the same place have different stories to tell after VCSP experience. And to make our session more effective and less repetitive, Jordan and I decided to divide our contents into two parts. First, the general part, and second, the technical part. The general part will be explained by me, where I will tell about how VCSP can influence your life, not just as a young surveyor, but also as a person itself, and how it has influence on different dimensions of your life. And on the technical part, Jordan will answer some of your technical questions about, for example, like what will you actually do during the volunteering, how it will actually impact the communities that we work in, and etc. And I can see that many of the participants here were present in the last Wisdom Workshop as well. So if you have already attended it, then you might find this slide repetitive, but if you are new here, then you are also still not missing anything. So moving along, giving an introduction about myself. I'm a geomatics engineer from Nepal. I was volunteer for VCSP program in the piloting in 2017. And after that, I worked with UN Habitat for almost 8 months. And for the past 3 years, I'm working with the Government of Nepal as a survey officer, mostly in cadastral sector. And currently, I'm living in Germany for my master's degree. And currently, I'm also engaged with the core team of VCSP, especially in the in-country deployment team as a second vice lead. As I already told, this is my presentation outline. So as the topic of my presentation suggests, I will explain everything about why being a volunteer community surveyor is an adventure in itself, based upon my own experiences. I will cover mainly 3 topics: the experiences you get as a VCS, the opportunities VCSP can create for you, and about why this whole journey is very unique. So that I want to give a little bit background about the VCSP concept. So Volunteer Community Surveyor program is an initiative of FIG Young Surveyors Network for matching the right person to the right place and for the right cause. With this motive, young surveyors are sent to volunteer in different partner projects happening in different parts of the world, which have a common objective, that is global land tenure security or protection of land tenure rights. So the program was piloted in 2017, and at that time 13 volunteers were sent for volunteering in 7 different countries for 7 GLTN projects, and I was one of the volunteers for Nepal. So I want to give a brief background of the project where I volunteered. Details will be covered by Jordan. I will just say the brief. So many of you might know that Nepal was hit by a massive earthquake of 7.8 magnitude in 2015, and millions of houses were destroyed at that time. And people were living in houses like this. So STDM was implemented in one of the most affected areas of Nepal called Dolakha, with an objective to build back better through secure land data. So it was the project had mainly 3 objectives that were mainly concentrated with the displaced settlement due to earthquake, for the informal settlers, and as well as for making an integrated settlement plan. Details about this will be explained by Jordan. So it was an effort of multiple agencies. There were actually 3 international and 1 national organization involved, and the project was carried out in different phases. So volunteers were deployed for the last 3 stages of the project only, that is for helping in data collection, data entry and management in STDM, and data validation tasks. Now, I want to share what were my experiences during the volunteering program, or what were my responsibilities. So what I have realized is that VCSP gives you the freedom to explore the things that you enjoy and contribute in any possible ways you can for the communities. So there are different things get involved in. For instance, you could get connected with the local communities, either by going to the field for data collection or by helping the local partners in using different geospatial technologies such as QGIS and GPS. That was very important for especially the data collection and management phase. Or you could also help the local partners to build an STDM database, which involved more technical tasks such as georeferencing of satellite imageries containing the data about farm boundaries that were collected from the field, and digitizing those images to create a database using STDM, QGIS, and PostGIS. And the database contain data about the household, about the farm boundaries, and about the social tenure relationship between them. So other than that, you could also get involved in assisting the team in data analysis and validation tasks as well, by participating in meetings like this. So yes, there were different technical things to get engaged in during the volunteering program. And so is this all just some serious technical stuffs only? Well, I have, for me actually, volunteering community surveyor program was a full package of not just technical things, but also of learning, fun, and networking. So there were actually different kinds of activities to get involved in as well. For instance, some barbecue nights or hikes to some wonderful heights. There were moments for being with nature without thinking much, or some dance performances giving a cultural touch. So yeah, all the experiences were actually a nice opportunities to get some professional skills and collect beautiful memories for our life as well. So now, what are the opportunities that VCSP can create for you? Well, honestly speaking, VCSP can actually open the door to different new opportunities. For instance, it can lead you to some new role and leadership. Talking about me, I was hired by UN Habitat for another STDM project after my VCSP experience, and this is me in my new workplace. It can also lead you to some new outreach and exposure. This is me participating on a STDM training in Nepal after my VCSP experience. Or it can also lead you to some more outreach and exposure. This is me again giving a presentation about STDM initiatives in Nepal during FIG Young Surveyors Network, its Asian Pacific meeting held in 2018 in Tokyo, Japan. Or you never know, VCSP can also lead you to some wonderful smiles like this, or some funny memories like this. This was again taken in Tokyo. Or you may never know, like if you look VCSP from a different perspective, then it can also help you to build some lifelong relationship. This is me and my lovely friend Jordan again. And in this picture, we are in my house in Pokhara in Nepal, where he and I were tied into a brother-sister relationship through this ritual in Tihar festival in Nepal. And if you like analyze the whole experience and experience even deeply with a different perspective again, it can also help you to explore your strength as well, maybe through some opportunities like this. So this is our friend Jordan again lifting this big pile of hay in my village in Nepal during his second visit in Nepal. So yeah, overall, VCSP can actually lead you to different opportunities for different dimensions of your life. So now I want to wrap up my presentation by giving some thoughts on why being a volunteer community surveyor is a unique experience in itself. I think the main thing is that VCSP is actually the only global platform for the young surveyors for going to the communities and volunteering there, both within their own country or outside of their own country, and for a global cause. The work that we do as a team, it is not just about contributions, it's rewarding to both the communities that we serve and the young surveyors. And that is why this program is very unique. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shristi. You've had a very good experience, of course. Without taking so much of our time now, I would like to welcome Jordan to continue from where Shristi just ended the presentation. Thank you.
Hello, kia ora koutou. Can everyone hear me? I think I'm online. Yep. Thank you very much for having me here and Shristi to talk about our amazing experience of the volunteer program in its pilot process over in Nepal. Thanks also for the very flattering photos of me attempting to transport the hay, Shristi. That was a good laugh at the time. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the technical details on the project that we were involved in, and share a little bit of my experience as well as a New Zealander going abroad to volunteer in a foreign country. So as you know, my name's Jordan Freese. I'm from New Zealand and I'm currently working and living in Wellington, which is our beautiful little country's capital city. I had the pleasure of getting involved with all of the volunteer work by attending the Christchurch FIG Working Week in 2016, which is where the journey really began for me. There I attended a workshop on the social tenure domain model and other initiatives that were being carried out by the Global Land Tool Network. This was the real first step, I suppose, that gave me a taste for what development work and foreign aid would look like in the context of my area of expertise or surveying industry. So, as I mentioned, the awareness events at the FIG Working Week in Christchurch was to promote the work of GLTN and engagement with young surveyors and the opportunities that were possible with the kind of work that they were doing. And at the workshop, I was able to gain the basic skills that were necessary to be able to implement the application in a in-country context. So the social tenure domain model, I'm sure everyone has heard a bit about it, but it was developed by GLTN as a tool to support the global campaign for secure tenure. STDM is actually a plugin, for QGIS. So in theory, anyone can download it and plug it into their QGIS software and apply it in their context. It facilitates the continuum of land rights concept, which we can see at the bottom right here, catering to informal land rights right the way through to formalized land rights. It also encourages gender responsiveness, participatory approaches, and is a low-cost, easy-to-use system. The aim of the project that we, as Shristi alluded to, that we were involved in over in Nepal was to better facilitate the recovery effort from the 2015 earthquakes. It was a trial or a pilot program, and it was done on 3 different sites in the Dolakha region of Nepal. And those 3 sites were chosen based on 3 things that were identified in the recovery strategy. They were getting titles for the reconstruction grants that were being offered from the government. They were geotechnical assessment for the relocation of some villages which were adversely affected by those earthquakes, and also to enable a more integrated planning approach for developing some of the villages. So the project was in partnership with a local NGO called Huradec. And during the process that we collected data, and the data collection was actually carried out by local people that were employed through Huradec, and they used household questionnaires, so paper copies and handheld GPS devices, to go out into the community and collect information about the properties and the people. The parcel boundaries were collected by a participatory approach called visual boundary marking on satellite images, which you can see pictured. And that was actually done by walking the boundaries or agreeing as a community or as a group where the position of the boundaries lay and marking them on the physical copies of these aerial photos. All the information was then entered into the GIS software. And my main role on the project was three things. So the data validation, so looking at the data that was coming in and checking for any errors on the records, checking things like that the respondent on the record actually belonged to that particular household, or if, say, there were multiple households assigned to one recorded position, that there were actually multiple families living in that household. So going through the data, the next thing I was mainly involved in there was the georeferencing of the collected parcel boundaries on the satellite images, and then digitizing those through the software, which you can see a picture of there at the bottom right, essentially creating those parcels and assigning them the unique identifiers in the GIS software. Then the people to land relationship could be defined, and analysis and outputs to the authorities for the reconstruction process and policy planning was enabled. We also heard about the possibility for STDM to be rolled out into local survey offices, and for the results to be included in further integrated planning processes for redevelopment of the villages. A few other opportunities that I was involved in through being over there and involved in the program was a land readjustment or land pooling and readjustment project in one of the local survey villages where unfortunately when I was there, we weren't able to do the physical survey work. They weren't quite ready for us at the time I was there, but as I understand, there was some set out of some new of basically the new layout of the roads and buildings of a planned village. Another thing that was quite interesting that I was involved in over there was some research work on automatic feature extraction using remote sensing for cadastral mapping. And so we assisted with some of the data collection, the field data collection, by walking the boundaries using a handheld GPS and collecting the parcel extents in a digital format that way, and comparing that with the automatic parcel definition that was acquired through the remote sensing software. And another little thing was just a bit of involvement with a paper comparing digital data collection with the paper-based methods for cadastral parcel mapping. As you can see from the photos, an absolutely amazing location to be based as a young surveyor, a volunteer going abroad. Some of the accommodation was just stunning, looking out at the Himalayas. Some of the roads were not so stunning, with multiple flat tires trying to get around the place. But a real highlight for me was really the time spent in those rural communities where we were able to share in the way of life and feel like welcomed into that environment. And those are some of the photos down the bottom of some of those remote places that we visited, and yeah, got to sort of try out some of these processes with. So I think that's about all I've got to cover, and hopefully haven't gone too much over time. Can I hand back over?
Jordan, thank you so much.